What's going on, family? I want to welcome you back to the Jimmy Jam radio show. I am your host. My name is Jimmie Scott Jr. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about AI. Want to have a little bit of a intellectual conversation with you today. It's a topic that I found very interesting, and I thought, I can share my thoughts about this and kind of share some insights about the potential of the human innovation. And so we're going to talk about AI, and the topic is the role of artificial intelligence in shaping human creativity. Now, we know AI is slowly rolling its way into our normal way of life in multiple components and multiple industries of our life. I mean, we have AI in our phones. We have AI incorporating itself into restaurants. We have AI incorporating itself into retail businesses, cars, things like that. And so what does that do for the human creativity? So the first thing I want to kind of go into, and the first question that I have is, how is AI influencing creative fields like art, music, and writing? So when I first got this question, I started to think about me as a musician. So if you don't know, I am a musician. I play the piano, I play the keyboard, I play the bass guitar, and I've been playing music now since the age of 12. And when I think about all of the advancements of music over the course of my life now, how we've went from a lot of live playing to now you have virtual concerts, you have mixers, things like that. Even though we had a lot of the stuff then, even when I was young, it's more prevalent now to where you don't have to play this music live. It made me think about how I felt when I first saw it. When I first saw a soundboard to where you can literally make the same chords that I had to learn how to create on a piano. You can literally make those same chords on a soundboard. It made me think about how I felt in that moment. Now, for me, there's one half of me that was like, oh, this is good. This is awesome. The way that I can now create music, even if I wanted to replicate the piano and play the same songs that I already play, I could play it with ease without actually having to do the discipline of music theory and play and learn, music theory. But then on the flip side, it also made me sad because it takes away the journey of becoming a musician. Because you're saying you don't have to sit, you don't have to practice, you don't have to know music theory, you don't have to learn all these other different things in order to achieve the same results. And so I would see people who are very good at, using soundboards and mixers and things like that. And for me, it made me think that's another skill that I now have to learn how to do if I want to, have opportunities as the world goes on. Because it's not every day that someone wants a pianist or a keyboardist or things like that of, live, when you can replicate and do the same type of thing and even more with, AI and with technology. And now when we talk about AI, right, as we have artificial intelligence coming in, replacing like the human experience, if we were to look at it this way, we're talking about technology that can now do this for you without you having to press any buttons. We're talking pure programming. We're talking you type up a sentence about a music style that you want, and beats that you want, and cymbals that you want, and instruments that you want, and it make exactly what you want without you having to lift a finger. And that's going to be the new way of DJing. That's going to be the new way of live music. That's going to be the new way of, the world when it comes down to the a way that music is now being produced. You can literally type up a sentence, or you can speak into the phone, and it now creates that for you. That's a different level of creativity, to where now your mind is definitely expanding to where you can now have full symphony orchestras and incorporate orchestras within the matter of seconds if your mind allows it to do so, because we have artificial intelligence. We have intelligence now that can do the things and do the work of, at 1 minute, a band, 5-6 people, and then a next minute over the course of our society, one person, because we just talked about the soundboard and the mixers, and now we're talking about no person. You're talking about technologies that can do the work of multiple people without even having to have a person to do the work. Just from the sound of a voice speaking into the phone to say, hey Siri, can you do this, and that? That's what we're talking about now when we're talking about the influence that AI has on those creative fields. So music, writing is now, we have Copilot through Microsoft. We have ChatGPT now, right, with writing, to where AI can now write full-fledged essays, things like that. So AI is having a big influence and impact on saving time, clarity, things like that, of our way of life in art. And even visual arts are now being reviewed utilizing AI. So now let's go to this question. Can AI ever truly replicate human creativity, or is there something uniquely human about AI? So let's tackle that, right? Can AI ever replicate human creativity? No. I think the humanness of AI is how humans can expand the creativity utilizing all of the technology at its fingertips to broaden the scope of creativity. Meaning that once you are only able to create 2 to 3D dimensions via paper, if you were looking at art, for example, and you were creating a city, to now you're able to create those same 3D printing images through AI and create even more detailed work, even more examples with just a thought. And I think the expansion of the creativity for us as people expands our minds of what we can create and do, because the things that used to be impossible now can be possible. Think about architecture and the human creativity of the type of buildings and homes that we can now create utilizing AI to think for us or formulate ideas for us of what these things could look like if we were to want to have a pool with a basketball goal in the bottom that separates the pool from an underground basement, let's just say, and that's something of a feature that we wanted to create within a home. We're now able to get some sort of an idea of the impossible of what those things would look like, even beyond our normal scope of creativity. Because I feel that as humans, when we think about what we're trying to accomplish, we're limited to what we can physically see and the limitations of our mental capacity to perceive. But when you have AI that's able to perceive things and do things and give you a visual representation of what you're asking about, it gives you more ideas to expand the human mind. And so I feel that the human expansion is what's unique about AI, right? And how it now broadens our way of looking at things creatively. So, will it ever truly replicate human creativity? No. Because there's always going to be that unique indication that AI will give, but then there's also that unique indication that AI won't be able to give because of the human experience, right? Like, it's something about humans interacting with humans and being creative with humans that AI can't give you. AI can't evoke the emotion of art the way a human can. Even though AI is great at music, it will never evoke the human experience of live music. Like, there's something about being around a live musician, watching him do the same things that AI can do, and receiving different emotions from what you would get if you were just listening to a mixer do all of these beats and create symphonies and orchestras. You get the human interaction, get the human emotion, and you get the respect of the person and the artist, because you realize just how hard it took, or how much time it took, and how hard it was for a human to do the things that AI could easily do in a split second. That is unique already. And it's interesting to even say that, right? That we've come now to a point to where you are a very specialized individual. If you are able to do naturally what AI can do normally now, because of how advanced our technology has gotten, for you to be able to compute mathematics, history, we're talking music, business structure, art, things like that within split seconds, the same way that AI can, and that now makes you unique, shows us just how far we ourselves have evolved as humans to now keep up with the way that society is going. Like, if you haven't realized yet, we as humans, we have had to evolve in order to keep up with society and the domination that AI has now started to do. So it requires a different human, and it requires a unique human. And so if it were replicate human creativity, no. Because we're always evolving in our creativity to do things and push those boundaries because of AI. So, another question. What are the ethical implications of AI-generated content in creative industries? When I read this question, I thought, when we talk about ethics, we're talking now about the uniqueness of what you curate versus what someone else could curate, and what's original and what's not, what's trademarked and what's not. We used to pride ourselves as people on being unique, being original, creating things that have never been created, and being the only one to have ever created these ideas. But now that you have the technology that's available to you to create all of these same ideas that you once had that was unique to you at one particular point in time, now what does that leave you ethically if you have done the same thing that someone else is now doing and trying to replicate from you, utilizing something that's much faster, something that's much more accurate, even though AI could also have human error, but something that is a little bit more accurate than you may be when you eliminate your own human error? Where does that leave you in a fight of ethics, in a fight of originality? Well, the ethical implications that I believe AI can have as far as your creative industries, when we're talking about business, right? When we're talking about art, when we're talking about, infrastructure, is you get into trouble when you're not getting that human experience that you're seeking within these industries, if you're trying to advance and grow for yourself. You get into trouble when you don't have that human creativity, like we talked about in the last question, because people are going to cheat it. People are going to cheat it, and they're going to utilize AI, and you're not going to get the innovation. You're not going to get the research and development, the R&D that you may be seeking, because no one's going to continue to try to push the boundaries of the creativity utilizing AI to think for themselves and do things for themselves, and basically continue to push what AI can be even in the future. Now, I get it. A lot of people are afraid of AI because they believe that we're headed to a point to where AI itself will be self-sufficient. It'll be thinking on its own and doing things on its own, and we'll be continuously pushing it towards that boundary to do exactly that. But I do believe that if you don't yourself continue to innovate for yourself, continue to think outside of the box per se for yourself, then you won't make it ethically when it comes to these companies, because these companies are not solely relying on AI. They're wanting you to utilize AI to help them in the advancement of their business, to make business processes better, faster, to make money faster. Same thing when it goes to creative art. If I'm able to make the impossible possible faster, then I'm able to claim all of the accolades faster in my life, to do the things that I want to do with my life. But if I'm cheating it and it takes away from the originality, then now I get into ethical concerns when it comes to how society will now view me. Again, AI is good in society for the moments of when it's good in, but we haven't fully accepted AI into our everyday life. It's a part of our life, but society itself hasn't fully accepted it yet. And so it's beginning to assimilate into our culture. And as it does so, you still don't want to step out of line to say everything about you is fully automated, because then you lose the credibility for yourself. People will begin to see you and they'll begin to think, oh, he's not original. Everything he does is a copycat of something else because he doesn't know how to think for himself. He always uses AI. He always uses Google. He always uses something to do his own thinking. He always uses something to do the speaking for him. No, those presentations, they aren't original. He didn't come up with that. So do you truly know Susan? Do you truly know Ken? Do you truly know Joseph? As far as how they think and how they speak and their ideas and their opinions and their creative efforts to create and expand and innovate, do you truly know who they really even are? Because they're probably using AI for their pickup lines. They're probably using AI on what to say to women or what to say to men, or they're probably using AI and artificial intelligence to do and live the life of who they are instead of being themselves as far as their own person of living life. AI has now replaced their life. And so do you really know them like you think you know them, or do you know how they have utilized AI to present themselves, right? Oh, I know them through how they use artificial intelligence to project themselves about who they want me to believe that they are. I know that's a pretty deep concept to think about, but that's kind of the nature of where we are today. We have all of these dating apps. We have all of this stuff that's going on today, utilizing AI, right? And so for me, those are the ethical implications of where I feel ethically you lose credibility. And you get in a lot of trouble when you don't continue to replicate that, or not replicate, but you don't continue to have that human creativity and you only utilize AI in your creative space. So, wanted to just have a little talk with you about that today. Something to think about, something for you to carry throughout your day. Talking about AI and the role that it has in shaping our human creativity. And I believe that it's continuing to do so. And it's doing so at a little bit of faster pace than people realize, because it's definitely coming and assimilating itself into our culture, even though a lot of people still haven't accepted it yet. But we have to be very cautious and careful that it doesn't replace our lives as humans. And then we lose the social experience of what it really means to be a human. And what that means is we don't want to lose each other because of AI, and we start living in a world just like Ready Player One. If you've ever seen the movie Ready Player One, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a world in that movie basically where the world itself went down, but everyone found solace in AI, or basically a gaming system, to where you put the headset on and then now you're living in a world that is basically whatever you can imagine. And then basically we live in a world of what we can imagine in the real world without human experience, and we lack the human experience. So, hey, appreciate you for just listening today, joining into the podcast today. If you do like these type of topics and things like that, please feel free to leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts about the topics. Let me know some of the topics that you've thought about that you'd like to discuss as well, that we could dive into, and some questions that we can dive into. I'm more than willing and more than happy to talk about these things. Also, if you like the podcast, and you're listening to Spotify, feel free to subscribe. If you're listening to YouTube, feel free to subscribe to the channel, so that way you can get more videos and episodes just like these. I appreciate you for listening. I pray nothing but blessings and peace over your life as you continue to walk with me on this Christian journey, and I'll talk to you next time.